This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Tansy, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Sheila North. Janet Stewart is away. A U.S. court case involving a child sex predator from Brandon is drawing attention to a video chat website that experts say is troubling. Omegle's catchphrase is "talk to strangers." And when CBC News went onto the website, some of the people we encountered appear to have something other than talking on their minds. The I-Team's Caroline Bargut has this story, but just a warning, this item contains graphic images and content of a sexual nature that many people will find disturbing.
You don't need an account to get onto Omegle, or a username, or provide any information at all. All you have to do is go to the website and click on text or video to be randomly paired with a stranger. CBC News visited the site. We identified ourselves as journalists with each person we encountered. Within 5 minutes, we were matched with 2 naked men masturbating on video. We were also paired with teenagers. This person said he was 16 and appeared to be on the site for one reason. We spent just under an hour on the website. All but one of our matches were with men, some partly clothed, 5 were naked with their penises exposed. There were others who kept their cameras off. Some hung up when we said we were journalists, but this man agreed to talk.
And why do you come on here?
Because I enjoy being watched.
Omegle gives users the option of putting in a keyword to help match them with people that have similar interests. We met this man when we entered Roblox, a game commonly used by children.
Are you always naked when you come on here?
Usually, yes.
Even when you're talking to kids?
Yeah.
Do you ever masturbate in front of the children?
Only if they ask to.
And are you, you're not uncomfortable and talking to a younger person if you're naked?
If they're comfortable, I'm comfortable. It's all about consent.
Well, an underage person cannot consent legally. Are you aware of that?
You're the one who's calling it legal. I'm calling it social consent, okay?
Oh. It's predatory behavior like this that's at the heart of a court case against Omegle. In December, a Brandon man was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for internet luring and distributing child pornography after police found more than 3,000 images and videos on his electronic devices. One of his victims, an American woman, is now suing Omegle for connecting her with him in 2014 when she was 11 years old.
According to court filings, the man, who CBC News is not naming to protect the identities of his victims, abused the girl for 3 years, forcing her to send him explicit photos of her engaging in sex acts until she was 15. The girl, who is only identified by the initials AM, is asking the court for up to $22 million in damages and for the site to be shut down.
There's no reason that Omegle in its present condition should exist. It routinely matches adults with children for sex streaming in real time. There's no world where that kind of product is necessary, desirable, or safe.
The Canadian Centre for Child Protection says last year it did a search of its records and found 170 videos from Omegle were being traded on dark web forums, most of which showcased kids believed to be between the ages of 6 and 15.
Why are we permitting our children to be exposed to this type of material in this way? And why haven't we done anything yet?
The Canadian Centre is eagerly watching what happens in the American lawsuit in hopes it forces online companies like Omegle to do more to protect children.
I mean, the tagline on the site is "talk to strangers." It's unfathomable, and you can't even believe that such a site exists, and yet it does.
Omegle's website says nudity, pornography, and sexually explicit conduct and content are prohibited. It also says you have to be 18 and up to enter, but that children 13 and older can use the site with their parents' permission and supervision. The company provided a statement to CBC News. It said, Omegle utilizes a number of methods to moderate content shared by users in chats using both AI and human moderation services. When Omegle flags content as illegal, inappropriate, or in violation of its policies, the company says it bans the IP addresses the person used to access the website. The company also says, where appropriate, it reports flagged content to law enforcement agencies and the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children.
As for the U.S. lawsuit against Omegle, it's far from over. The company recently filed a motion saying Omegle is not a product but a service and therefore can't be sued under product liability. AM's lawyers say they plan to fight that. They say the best outcome would be to get in front of a jury and prove the harm caused to their client, in hopes companies that don't do enough to protect children are held accountable. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Winnipeg.
So what can parents and caregivers look for to keep kids and teens safe online? That's coming up later in the show. And police investigators have made a major break in the string of violent attacks in Point Douglas on Monday. A suspect has been charged and a Canada-wide warrant has been issued for another. The CBC's Andrew Wiles has the details.
Patrol cars covered Main Street on Monday as the community woke to news that multiple people were savagely attacked in the night. Now police say they've caught one of the suspects.
On August 24th, yesterday, members of the homicide unit charged a 15-year-old youth male with second-degree murder and aggravated assault ×2.
He's now in custody, and a second suspect has been identified.
A Canada-wide warrant for second-degree murder and aggravated assault ×2 has now been issued for a second youth male.
Police say those two are responsible for the murder of Danielle Dawn Valentine, the 36-year-old Indigenous woman whose body was found in this Jarvis Avenue apartment Monday morning. The charges for aggravated assault are for the violent attacks on two 50-year-old men. One on Main Street near Jarvis, the other at Henry and Main. Both men are in critical condition. There was another attack at Logan and Israeli, but police say those suspects haven't been identified. McKinnon says police have increased patrols, but the community should also be vigilant.
If you don't have to be outside in dark areas for any reason, don't be.
Dawson Saunders says she's been homeless for about a year. She says she's shaken by the incidents.
Pretty hard to handle. No, each and every one of us just try to watch out for one another, and we even tell the people that walk around with their kids to get in safely.
Saunders says she could have been there.
That's how brutal these people can be. They don't think of their consequences.
Constable McKinnon says it appears all the attacks were random. They believe there are more suspects and more victims. Police say they believe the same or similar suspects were involved in all the attacks. Andrew Wiles, CBC News, Winnipeg.
We now know the identity of the man who died on Monday after Vancouver police shot him with a beanbag gun. 42-year-old Chris Amiot was visiting from Winnipeg, and as Joel Ballard reports, his family is demanding answers as they are left mourning his sudden death.
To those who knew him, Chris Amiot was always in a good mood, the one to break the ice at a big family gathering.
He was outgoing, no matter how hard his life was or no matter his struggles. He was happy.
Amiot lived in Winnipeg with his common-law partner and 5 children. Wilson says he was devoted to his family. It's the reason he was in Vancouver, visiting his brother and 2 of his other children. He arrived on August 17th. 5 days later, he died, after being shot by the Vancouver Police Department with a beanbag gun.
He had a family that loved him very much, that he had children who loved him very much.
Police say they were called to this area Monday morning for a man acting erratically. When they arrived, an altercation ensued. Amiot went into medical distress and died. But witnesses told CBC News that Amiot was calling for help after apparently being sprayed with bear mace. He grabbed a jug of milk from this corner store and poured it on himself.
For me, that's my biggest struggle, is knowing that he died alone and that he was begging for help.
The VPD confirmed a beanbag shotgun was used on Amiot, but originally, this information was only shared by witnesses, both to the CBC and to Amiot's family.
His children deserve answers. My family deserves answers. Chris deserves answers.
Now, the family is calling for more information.
I want the officers who were involved, I want their names revealed, and I want to know their history with the department. I want to know how many incidents that they've been involved. I have questions about the weapons that were used. I want to know at what range they've been tested.
Answers to those questions are unlikely, at least for now. The Independent Investigations Office is on the case. And after the investigation, if the IIO believes an officer committed an offence, it says the Chief Civilian Director can file a report with Crown Counsel at the BC Prosecution Service for consideration of charges. Although there isn't an exact timeline, this year, IIO investigations have taken an average of 68 days. Meanwhile, Amiot's family is left waiting.
I'd like for them to know that the decisions that they made ultimately left my nieces and my nephews without a dad. And my uncle now has to bury his son.
Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
A Winnipeg judge has doled out hefty fines to 5 people who broke COVID-19 public health orders. The 5 admitted breaking limits on outdoor gatherings. Patrick Allard got the largest fine today, nearly $35,000. Allard was an outspoken critic of pandemic restrictions. Amounts for the 4 other defendants, Tobias Tisson, Todd McDougall, Sharon Vickner, and Gerald Bohemier, ranged from just under $14,000 to almost $19,000. The judge said they have no expression of insight or remorse for their involvement.
The reason I started this, as I testified yesterday, was I stand up for the little guy. And that's everybody here. That's everybody of the media, people behind me, people in the building, everywhere. I stood up for someone who maybe didn't know what to say or didn't have a voice. Every single one of our first tickets received a reprimand.
Woo! Isn't that wonderful?
Woo! And the reason for the reprimand given by the justice was that everybody does have the right to protest. Everybody does have the right to peaceful assembly.
Each person has 7 years to pay. The defendants said they have no intention of paying the fines imposed on them by the court. And a Manitoba permanent resident says she was billed more than $300 for a visit to a hospital's emergency department because she didn't have a health card, something she applied for months earlier but hasn't received yet because of pandemic backlogs. The CBC's Lamea Abuzaid has that story.
Total bill comes to $337. It wasn't itemized here. The services I got wasn't itemized here. It was just all-inclusive as an emergency visit.
Owing money after a hospital visit is a situation Joanna Johnson-Adu never imagined being in as a permanent resident.
Legally, I'm entitled to it, so I do feel a bit, do I want to say cheated?
Johnson-Adu says she applied for her health card in April of this year and never heard back. She experienced shortness of breath recently and went to Winnipeg's St. Boniface Hospital. She says despite being able to pay this bill, she fears getting sick again without a health card.
It's kind of scary to think that, okay, I cannot do anything about this, I can't get any help. It's either I go to the hospital and be slapped with this huge bill that I can never be able to really pay off.
A provincial spokesperson says Manitoba Health is experiencing a 3 to 4 month backlog due to the pandemic. The province didn't say when this backlog will be cleared, if such cases will be reimbursed, nor how long it normally takes for them to process health cards.
I feel like everyone should be getting a response at the very least, telling them, oh yeah, this is what to do or this is what to expect, especially if you're new and you don't know the process and you don't have anyone really guiding you. It can be really daunting to do that all by yourself. Normally, you should just be able to go to a hospital and get the help you need.
Ulster Clark is an immigration lawyer. He says right now, such delays are very common in Manitoba.
From my perspective, the government of Manitoba just needs to make sure that we try to help these folks as much as we can, make sure that they have access to health care, that they have access to other government services, and that they don't get lost in the bureaucracy.
Johnson-Adu hopes to receive her long-awaited health card soon to get the help she needs without having to worry about a bill. Lamia Abuzaid, CBC News, Winnipeg.
All voices at the table. That's how one mayoral candidate says he's going to address homelessness if he's elected. The CBC's Sam Sampson has the details.
Kevin Klein wants all groups who work with the city's homeless population to sit down and sort through the issues. Right now, he says the nonprofits work in silos and the city needs to have a coordinated effort. If elected mayor, he says he'd create an advisory group to lead council and city staff on homelessness issues.
As mayor, I want to bring these groups to one table. I want to have the conversation. I want to find who's best in what area and how we can work together.
Groups across Winnipeg that help the homeless population have differed on best practices, and that was clear during a summer debate on how to handle bus shelters. St. Boniface Street Links wanted to clear them out and house people immediately, while other groups wanted to leave people where they were and have the city fund longer-term solutions like supervised consumption sites. In the end, City Council decided not to clear out the shelters. Marion Willis says she doesn't disparage other groups, but feels like her voice isn't being heard.
The city, has kind of hit an all-time low. The crime, the property crimes, the residential crimes, the violent crimes against people, and even murder. All of this was predictable, and we have predicted it.
I know the first few meetings will probably be very difficult, but I believe wholeheartedly that if we don't give it a chance, it's just going to grow and grow, and we're not going to be able to fix it at any time soon.
Other advocates from the homeless sector tell CBC they already meet regularly, which includes some city representatives. The group say they met weekly during the height of the pandemic, and now they meet once or twice a month. Klein has two other ways he wants to address homelessness and poverty. One, he wants all business improvement zones to hire people who face employment barriers. That's something the Old St. Vital Biz will start doing tomorrow. And two, Klein says he would pay for anyone who wants to be a City of Winnipeg employee to get their high school credentials, but he's not sure how much that would cost. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Canadians tend to pay pretty close attention to best before dates on products, especially food. But some experts say those labels are contributing to food waste because consumers take them too literally, treating them as same as expiry dates. So now there's a growing call for the removal of best before dates. CBC's Cameron McIntosh has the details.
These are $3.65.
Farm Fresh in downtown Winnipeg. It's not just the lure of straight to the plate. For many here, it's also about stretching budgets.
Lots of times I'll have a list in my mind or menus in my mind, and I'll come to the market and I'm like, oh, plan B. You have to look for the bargains.
Vendors are keenly aware of it.
While many are trying to stretch their food buying dollars a little further, others are looking at the other end, what's being thrown out.
Relative to the United States and the United Kingdom, Canadians waste more food, about 79 kilograms per person per year. That's about 174 pounds. Some in waste management see best before dating as part of the problem. Food thrown out too soon.
Whether it be at the consumer level, so what a consumer has bought and is in their cupboard, or just throughout the chain, such as, for example, a retailer not being prepared to take a product from a distributor because there's insufficient gap between when they're buying it and when it says best before.
Several British retailers say they're scrapping best before dates on some products that may decline in quality but are still fit to eat.
People are obsessed. People are hooked. People are addicted to best before dates.
Sylvain Charlebois is an expert in food supply management. He says Canadians are conditioned to follow the label. Simple rule, he says, abide by expiry dates. Best before dates could be viewed more like guidelines.
If the product has a best before date and it's past that date, doesn't mean it's bad.
Back at the farmer's market, no labels here. The notion of keeping food around longer depends on who you ask.
As long as it doesn't smell bad or whatever, I'm okay.
I don't really look up the due-by dates, except sometimes with milk or something.
Never a problem in my house. I think it all usually gets pretty consumed up pretty quickly.
Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
CBC meteorologist John Sauter is live from IG Field for the Blue Bombers game tonight. Lucky guy, where is he? Let's put him on the screen. He's there covering the game, pre-game festivities. What's the weather going to be like for the game, John?
You know what, Sheila? It's going to be absolutely fantastic tonight. Not a cloud in sight. We're going to get to your forecast in just a second, but I want to show you this tailgate party area. It's been a long time since I've been out here, since before the pandemic, really. All kinds of fun for kids, kind of a family fun zone. You can, I think we have some future football players in here. I don't even know what this game is called, but the kids are going in there and bashing themselves around. It's all very safe. And then over here, we've got a baseball throwing game, so you can get points and win prizes and just generally have some fun. And of course, there's the football throwing just over there behind me. I tried that a couple of years ago, and it wasn't all that easy. It looks easy, but it's not. Now, I've seen some jerseys here that are a little retro. Milt Stegall, you would expect that. But Dieter Brock, number 5, anybody remember Dieter Brock? Saw that one earlier today. What else is here and what's going on tonight? It's country night, and I hear there's a mechanical bull. And I know what you're thinking. No, I'm not going to ride the mechanical bull. It's also Pure Later Fight Hunger tonight, so people are bringing a tin for the bin, and that's really nice to see. A lot of people walking by with food for people in our community who really, really need it. All right, let's get to your forecast, starting with the game night forecast, because tonight is a stellar night for football at kickoff. Now, we're right around 24 degrees right now, but at kickoff, 22 degrees. Wind won't be a big factor tonight. By halftime, we should be at about 19. And, you know, if you look at the Winnipeg current conditions, you can see there just isn't that much wind. Our high today, projected high, was 24, and we're right around that in the area, 23 to 24 degrees. Okay, let's get to satellite and radar next, because you can see that on satellite imagery, well, there's not much on radar in the south at all. There's no cloud on satellite either. So the bottom half of the province is very clear. We did have that system move through the north earlier today, brought some showers into the Thompson region, and then just cloud in the afternoon. And then that rain, about 5 to 10 millimeters of it, was moving off into God's Lake and Island Lake. And that will continue to move off to the southeast. We'll go to Futurecast now and show you how high pressure keeps our skies nice and clear even into tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon as well. Lots of clear sky in the south, but we do have a little bit more cloud up to the north. Should be a really sunny day tomorrow across into northwestern Ontario. Then on Saturday, we're looking to the southwest for the next system that moves up, and we should see some showers in the morning. And as we go into Saturday afternoon, we'll start to see that moving up to the northeast. But advancing into the evening, and I'm talking late evening here in the Red River Valley, we'll start to see some thunderstorm activity, likely after dark, and then after that, that just moves off into northwestern Ontario and camping and cottage regions out to the east, so Whiteshell and northwestern Ontario. Okay, your forecast for Winnipeg for tonight, a low of 13, clear skies. Tomorrow morning, we should be right around 16 degrees first thing in the morning, southwest winds at 10. A beautiful morning, turning into a gorgeous Friday afternoon at 27 degrees and a south wind at 15 to 20. Then in the long range, we have that chance for showers and thunderstorms on Saturday. Saturday's high 25. We're right back into a sun-cloud mix, and 29 on Sunday, and then more showers are possible for Monday with a cloudier sky and a high of 26 degrees. A little later, in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk to General Manager Wade Miller about the fan experience inside the building and his feelings on having a full stadium once again. That's coming up.
Weather Update is brought to you by Home Equip, your trusted local source for Pride Mobility scooters. From sales to rental and repair, our team is here to serve you.
We know kids and teens are online all the time for entertainment, school, work, and to connect with friends. Earlier in the show, we told you about the website Omegle. It's a website that connects strangers, and one that experts say is troubling. So tonight we're asking Stephen Sauer, director of cybertip.ca, how parents and caregivers can help keep young people safe online. Hi, Stephen. To start out, can you tell us a little bit about cybertip.ca?
Sure. Cybertip.ca is Canada's national tip line for reporting the online sexual exploitation of children. Our role is to triage reports to the appropriate law enforcement agency, child welfare agency, and we also reach out to companies to get content removed from their services as well.
Okay, so what are the dangers then online for young people?
Well, what we're seeing is, certainly these types of apps out there that allow unfettered access to children. So we have adults that are utilizing these systems to gain access to your child while they're in their home, in their bedrooms, wherever they may be connected to an online space. And there is a real risk to this because there are very little safeguards in place for apps, for social media out there. And we know that kids are likely engaged in all types of these activities. They are not necessarily letting their parents know about them, and there really is a risk in terms of the engagement that these individuals do and the coercion that occurs in these online spaces.
So to help, what should parents and caregivers be watching out for?
Well, I think a few things that parents need to do, obviously they want to have conversations with their kids about the different technology, the different tools that they're intersecting with. Make it kind of a casual conversation, part of your everyday conversations with your kids. Have a little bit of an understanding of what's going on. And then, watch for changes in behavior, because those can often signal that something has gone wrong. So it could be that the child is no longer wants to be engaged in a certain social media app or even in their phone anymore, or they've become overly obsessed with it and are constantly on it, are hiding their activities, or they may become angry when they're asked about their activities. Those are kind of signals that something might not be going right. And so watching for those things are really important kind of key triggers to start conversations with them and dig a little deeper. The other thing I would say to parents is, understand a little bit more about those apps. So you might want to check out Omegle, see how it works, put some parental controls in place. And then finally, I would say, one of the things that parents should be doing on a regular basis is talking about the issue of online sexual violence. So talking about luring, talking about the sharing of sexual imagery and how the risks associated with that, and really leaving the door open that if anything happens, that you as a parent are there for them no matter how far it's gone, and that they can trust that you'll help them through the situation.
Okay, and very quickly, when they do, parents or caregivers do find troubling things on the internet or online, can they call police or do they call CyberTip?
Yeah, they can call both police or they can connect with cybertip.ca through our website. We have an online report form. We also have a toll-free line that we operate where they can connect with us to even discuss a situation or a scenario that they've come across with their child. The other thing, too, is there are many resources related to online sexual violence at cybertip.ca OSV that they can access there and learn a little bit more about some of the things that they can discuss with their child.
Very helpful. Thank you very much. That's Stephen Sauer. He's the director of cybertip.ca. Thanks again. And as we head to break, we want to remind you to subscribe to our CBC Manitoba YouTube page. Your latest headlines are on there, and we are also now posting the entire newscast. Catch up and stay connected anytime. More news after the break. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Welcome back. We're sending you back to IG Field with John Sauter, where he has a special guest. John, is that one and only Wade Miller you have?
Yeah, it is. The one and only Wade Miller, President and CEO of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Wade, nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
It's been a couple of years.
Yeah, we're good. We're happy to have you back in the tailgate area. So.
Now, you've got a full stadium, almost full stadium. How many expected tonight?
It's just over 30,000, so. That guy that just cut in the shot, I used to play football with him.
Oh, did you? Who was that?
In high school.
So, in high school? He wasn't a Blue Bomber?
No.
Oh, you could have knocked him down.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, how good is it to see fans back in the field?
It's great. Yeah, it's great to have everyone back. We had everyone in the stadium last year, but, getting back out to this Princess tailgate, before the game, you look at the lineups of people enjoying themselves, kids area, there's a mechanical bowl in the corner. You're welcome to go later if you like.
Right after you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm staying off that. So, but just everyone out here having a great time and when you come to a Bomber game, you get here 2 hours early and enjoy this.
And the fan experience is really important to you, and I know that. And for people just coming back, what kind of enhancements, what kind of changes can they expect?
Well, I mean, this tailgate area just keeps getting better every year. And the season ticket member experiences we have, you'll see season ticket members running out before the team does, taking the field, honorary team captains. There's bench warmers, pregame sideline experience. So, and more importantly, just come and have fun.
Yeah.
Come enjoy the drink specials. Come with your family. Come with your friends.
It's much more than just a football game, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, well, just you can look around and see that, right?
Yeah, but the football is great too. 2-time Grey Cup champions.
Yeah.
You got a 9-1 record, best in the CFL. As a former player and as a manager, have you ever seen excitement like this around the team?
No, I don't think so. And growing up here, it's pretty special to be a part of it. But we have an amazing team, on the field, and just amazing football operations organization with our head coach, general manager, our scouts. We said we were going to build it. Took a while.
Yep.
We built it, and now it's time to go find a way to do it the third time.
Okay, so I predict weather. I want you to make a prediction. Are we going to win the Grey Cup again this year?
I don't make predictions like that, but that's what you play for every year. So we've done it the last 2 years, and we're going to find a way to do it again this year. So.
Thanks, Wade, and we'll see you on the Mechanical Bull later.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be on there.
either.
Yeah,
okay.
Good. Thanks
a lot. All right, Bombers, I think, have a good chance of winning tonight. I'm going to come back with your Manitoba forecast, and I think you'll like what you see tomorrow. Back in a few minutes.
Meanwhile, in international news, the war in Ukraine has knocked the largest nuclear power plant in Europe offline. It's the first time ever that the plant has been disconnected from the power grid. Nearby fires caused the fighting were interfering with the power line, so the plant was taken offline. The area around the plant is in southeastern Ukraine, has been hit by shelling. The complex itself has suffered damage. It's under Russian control, but it's being operated by Ukrainian personnel. And Ukrainian officials now say as many as 25 people were killed in an Independence Day attack yesterday. They say a train station about 130 kilometers northeast of the nuclear plant was hit. Russia says it destroyed a military train. There was widespread property damage. And Western political and military support for Ukraine remains strong. But popular support from the public has weakened, leaving humanitarian relief efforts short of funds. CBC's Katie Nicholson takes a look at why Canadians seem to be pulling back.
Ukrainian voices raised in harmony and passion outside Queen's Park in Toronto.
I understand that people here support Ukraine. I know that, and I can feel it.
No shortage of support here, but at charities, it's a different story.
Our priorities were emergency food, hygiene kits, and medicine kits.
Oris Klarenko is the volunteer president of the Canada-Ukraine Foundation, which helps deliver humanitarian aid.
As the attacks, although they continue on a daily basis, began to make their way out of the mainstream news and later on in the nightly newscast, and sometimes barely even mentioned at all, the donations began to dwindle.
Online fundraising umbrella group Canada Helps says donations started flooding in just before the war, but have since fallen off sharply.
We were bringing in around $457 million every single day during that 40-day period. Today, we're now into August, and what we're seeing is that daily donations have dropped to just $11,000.
Not an uncommon trend.
Really, what we see is Canadians just have an overwhelming response when the initial news story breaks. But then shortly thereafter, we see a drastic decline.
The daily onslaught of atrocities and suffering may initially encourage people to loosen their purse strings, but over time, that can fade.
Humans don't really like being in distress, and so they'll try to avoid distress.
Experts say tapping into empathy and showing people the difference their dollars make works best in the long term.
Bringing stories of individuals and how they're impacted.
And perhaps never underestimate the power of gratitude.
I want to say that Canada supports Ukrainians so much. I feel it.
Support they'll likely need for years to come. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
And the Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered an increase in the size of his military. He wants to add about 140,000 more personnel, increasing the ranks to more than 2 million. The Kremlin announced the decree in a release. The move appears to be an effort to replenish forces that have sustained heavy losses in the war with Ukraine. The decree doesn't say whether the increase will be achieved by expanding the draft, recruiting more volunteers, or both. The Kremlin has said that only volunteer contract soldiers are taking part in what it calls the special military operation in Ukraine. As we head to break, we want to remind you again to subscribe to our CBC Manitoba YouTube page. More in 3 minutes. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Welcome back. New details are emerging about an alleged group sexual assault from 2003 involving players from Canada's World Junior Hockey team. A man who says he saw a recording of an alleged incident is now speaking out to CBC. The story he tells is graphic, and we want to warn you that what he says is disturbing. Ashley Burke reports.
After winning silver at the 2003 World Juniors, almost every player on Team Canada went pro. But now a source says Halifax police have the names of at least 2 members of this team who may have been involved in an alleged group sexual assault.
When I spoke to the police, I gave them a best description of everything I remembered.
CBC News is concealing this man's identity. He says he saw a video nearly 20 years ago of the alleged incident and recently gave Halifax police the names of 2 Canadian players.
I recognized 2 of the players, and both of them went on to have NHL careers.
He says the details of that video still makes his skin crawl.
I seen a hockey player of the 2003 World Junior team, a Canadian player, take a video camera and turn it towards himself and say, "This is going to be a f***ing lamb roast."
A slang term for group sex involving several men and 1 woman. The man said the cameraman and another player then entered the hotel room.
There was 5 or 6 naked players all masturbating, with one person having sex with a girl on a bed who seemed extremely intoxicated. It made me sick to my stomach.
Why didn't you report it back then to police?
All I knew for myself back then was that it was wrong, but I didn't know these types of things got reported to the police.
He says he spoke up this summer after similar allegations surfaced involving members of Canada's 2018 World Junior team.
Because this still was eating me up inside.
What happened to that tape?
I have no idea. I mean, a camcorder from 20 years ago, I imagine that it's not here anymore.
Halifax police launched an investigation in July after TSN first reported details of the video. It's one of 3 separate police investigations in Canada into 3 different alleged group sexual assaults involving junior hockey players between 2003 to 2018. If the claims are true, experts say it shows a pattern.
A form of male bonding ritual that is about the abuse of women. And that is extremely, extremely disturbing.
Police won't say if victims come forward, but are encouraging anyone with information to contact them. Meanwhile, 5 players have publicly addressed the allegations, most of them denying any involvement. And Hockey Canada says it's hired an investigator. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
John Sutter is back after the break from IG Field with his look at Manitoba forecast. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Welcome back. We are heading back to IG Field where John Sutter is live at the Blue Bomber game tonight. Perfect night for a game. What's the rest of the province looking like though, John?
Yeah, it's looking really, really good. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, Sheila, but tonight is country night. So Wade and I were talking about the mechanical bull, and there it is behind me. I think I've decided to name it Bucky the bull, but it goes pretty slow at first, but then it gets a little wild. This young little fella's up there trying to hang on for dear life. But yeah, country night tonight. Doc Walker is actually the house band tonight, so they're playing inside the stadium before the game and again at halftime. Should be a great night. Now, the weather across the province, and we'll start with some current temperatures. Around Winnipeg, whether you're at the airport or over at the Forks, it is 23 degrees, and that should be pretty close to our kickoff temperature tonight of 22. Looking around the rest of the province, and you can see pretty nice day out there. Some warmer temps than what we're seeing in Winnipeg and some cooler temps as well. In the north, decent day as well, and it will be again tomorrow in the west. We're looking at temperatures that will be in the upper 20s in areas like Flin Flon and the Pas. So let's get to tonight's forecast then, starting in northwestern Ontario. Pretty much everyone has a nice clear sky tonight, or just a few clouds. Southeastern Manitoba, no different. We're dropping to about 13 overnight here in the Winnipeg area under clear skies. In the southwest, a little bit cooler around Brandon, but yes, lots of clear sky. And in the north, there are some communities that will have some showers moving through, most of that in the northeast, and some patchy fog tonight as well around the Thompson area. And then tomorrow, there are the warmer numbers you can see off to the west. We should be in the 18 degree range, 18 to 20 degree range in Churchill. And after some morning fog patches, a nice warm day in the mid-20s up around Thompson. Southern Manitoba, tomorrow, it's all about the sunshine. And it'll be about 5 or 6 degrees warmer than it was today. You go to the southeast, Winnipeg tomorrow, we're looking at a high of 27 and pretty close to that out into areas like the White Shell and off into northwestern Ontario as well, where temperatures should be in the 25 to 26 degree range. A little later in the 7-day forecast, I'll be back to show you some temperatures heading into next week and how we get another patch of stable weather after a few showers on Monday. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you, John. Now go ride that mechanical bull for us.
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind then. Thank you. Conservation advocates have been campaigning against plastic six-pack holders for decades. They don't degrade over time, and they are a known hazard to wildlife. The beverage industry has been slowly moving away from the rings, and in Canada, the craft beer business has been leading the way.
The previous can carrier that we were using was this, very common in the craft beer industry, hard plastic HDPE material of the PacTech, and we have now since moved to this carrier. The Can Color Classic is just a paperboard material which is recyclable. We started with a kind of soft market trial. This has stood up very well. So the can carriers themselves come in this sheet of 6. The sheet is put into the bright green guide there. It is then put over top of the flat of cans, and it is just a simple press with an operator, and it's applied, creating this kind of angle which holds the can in place. There's actually 1,800 sheets in this box, whereas a box of 700 of these is about 3 times the size. It takes many, many decades for plastic to degrade in a landfill, whereas it's still just paperboard. It should hopefully decompose and return to the earth a lot sooner than a piece of plastic. But please recycle it. We look around the world and we see Garbage Island in the Pacific Ocean, landfills are overflowing, and if everyone just does a small amount, it makes a big impact.
Thank you. And how's this for Regal Beagle? This is the newest addition to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's family, a 7-year-old beagle named Mama Mia. Harry and Meghan met her earlier this month when they visited a beagle rescue in LA. The group's president says the royal couple specifically picked Mia over a puppy because they wanted to help a dog that needed it most. Mia was one of thousands of dogs removed from a breeding facility in Virginia. Now she's gone from rescue to royalty. Still ahead, your daily lift, and John's daughter is back from IG Field with your 7-day forecast. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News.
right, welcome back to IG Field. Follow me for a second. This is Taylor and Emma, and it's Emma's birthday today. Woo! What do you want for your birthday?
A bomber win.
A bomber win. Okay, show us some excitement. Wave the sign. Woo! Yeah, all right. Let's get to your 7-day forecast. Thanks, guys. 7-day forecast. Let's start with a great night for football, and then as we head into tomorrow, it is going to be even warmer, 27 degrees, nothing but sunshine after a clear night tonight. Then on Saturday, and I think that the cloud will start to roll in a little bit on Friday night. On Saturday, we are mainly cloudy, occasional showers, and then some thunderstorms. And for the Red River Valley, that looks more like the evening hours, even after dark, and then on into cottage areas out to the east for the overnight period, Saturday into Sunday. That's all gone by Sunday. Back to a sun-cloud mix and a warmer 29. And for Monday, 26 degrees with a chance of showers. And then we're back into seasonal conditions and a fair bit of sunshine, a more stable weather pattern for the second half of next week. Sheila?
Thank you, John. And something's happening at the zoo, the London Zoo, that is. It's time for the annual check on the animal's weight and size. The weigh-in helps zookeepers get a look at the animal's overall health and growth and to find out about pregnancies. And getting the details can take a little ingenuity, like tricking the penguins into walking over scales as they line up for their morning feed. That information then gets gathered in London, but it's also shared with zoos all around the world. Beautiful. And back at IG Field, taking the last of the tailgate party there, John. Have fun. I hear the country music.
Sheila. It's going to be a great night here. Yeah, the country music's going. It's country night, and the Bombers, we think, are going to win. Bombers are 9-1. Stampeders are 6-3. So I like our chances.
Yes, go blue, go blue. And happy birthday, Emma. Have fun, John. See you later. And I'll be back at 11. Have a great night. Exit.